All MCC references come with a metal box that perfectly protects the resin parts inside. When we open the box, the first thing we find is the instruction sheet. All steps to follow are perfectly explained, as well as the resin parts to be removed. In addition to having a resistant box, we will also find inside sponges to prevent the pieces from moving. This set is dedicated to the wing fold of the F8 Crusader, with the two pieces that we will have to put in the wings and the details. We also have a set dedicated to the FA-18 Hornet in its A, B, C, and D versions. Depending on the model, in some cases you will have to cut the plastic, which is perfectly explained in the instructions. You can choose the exact position where we want to place the folding part of the wing. The assembly system is very similar to the one we have seen in the previous reference. The reference 4809 is dedicated to any of the versions of the F-16. In it, we will find the small parts for the static discharge systems, as well as the shaft and flare launching systems, with magnificent detail. For the F-16C, we also have the ACES II seats that were used in the intermediate and final versions. This model of seat is more complicated than usual, as it comes with several pieces that we will have to glue together. As well as the wiring, the fabric textures, even the back of the seats is perfectly detailed. We continue with the ACES II seats in 1/48 scale for the F-15D, E, L, K, DJ, and SG, all of them two-seaters. The front and rear seats have slight differences. That's why it is engraved on the bracket. Be careful when removing it not to lose the reference. For the F-14A and B Tomcat, we will have one reference for the initial versions and another for the intermediate and final versions. The GRU-7 seats are very complex elements, but MCC has recreated them with a very high level of detail. For the intermediate and final versions, the pilot's seat and the Rio seat are different, distinguished at the top of the head restraint. The F-4 Phantom used by the US Navy had some differences from those used by the US Air Force, so we have two different references. Both kits are designed for the Tamiya reference. We can see the wiring that is perfectly engraved and detailed without any imperfection or burr. We can see the wiring that is perfectly engraved and detailed without any imperfections. In this image, we can see the differences between the Navy and Air Force versions. Now we will see the seat for the new F-35A from Tamiya. MCC has taken care to protect even the smallest parts such as the buckles, creating brackets to prevent them from breaking. This part will be the perfect complement to the F-35 cockpit, which has an exceptional level of detail. We can even distinguish between the fabric textures and the rest of the metal seat. For the A-10C, we will find two references, the first one dedicated to the ACES II seat. This model has rails in which the seat will fit, so that we can put it in and take it out without gluing it in place. Unlike other brands, MCC has taken care of the most delicate parts. For example, you will not have to remove resin from the handles. We will use the second A10C Thunderbolt 2 reference dedicated to the engines to see how to prepare these parts. The kit is designed for the Academy model, so we will need to use some of the plastic parts during assembly. Like the previous references, all the parts come protected by a resin cage that we will have to remove. Each of the turbine blades is separated, improving substantially on the plastic part that is represented in a single block. In the nozzle, we can see the rivets in relief, which make the piece much more realistic. Finally, the part that joins the nozzle outlet with the engine housing is very finely designed and better adapted to the scale. Here you can see the tools we are going to need to prepare the resin. To remove the protection, we can use the saw or the cutters. The next step is to separate the pieces from the support. We use the saw following the separation mark visible on the resin. For convenience, we can also cut the support so that we can work with each of the pieces separately. The holes in the brackets are designed to prevent the pieces from breaking when cutting. Nevertheless, they should be worked carefully, without exerting too much pressure. The smallest scraps are cut with the saw. With the sanding stick's tapered sandpaper of 240 grit, we work the piece to make it as smooth as possible. The same process was repeated on the smaller pieces. The nozzles were easily cleaned by simply using a saw. All of the resin has a guide that will help us to make the cut without the saw coming out. We make the small cuts, turning the piece little by little. The most complicated parts to clean are the blades. We start by removing the cage with cutters. In this case, it is important to follow the order of instructions. Due to the diameter of the base, we will need to work with a saw that does not have the support in the center. Separate the supports of each of the blades by making smooth cuts. The inside face of the blades will have to be cleaned with cutters, as we will not have access with the saw. The saw blade without the handle can help us to access hard-to-reach areas, while always taking care not to cut ourselves. The last piece is the easiest to clean, using the same techniques and tools that we have seen throughout the video. All of the references you have seen in this video are available at www.ammo.es. Discover many more videos on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate notifications. Thank you for watching.